Hello and welcome back. We have a milestone update. I finally got all the sketches that I wanted to do done. I believe all concepting and conceptualization pretty much is done for the DieselPunk project, and now it's taking all my ideas and taking them from paper onto the 3D program Blender and just making the ideas that I have on paper actual things for a video game. So I wanted to go over the importance that I think I kind of realized with concept artwork in conceptualizing my ideas and how important it is to do that and not just like, yeah, I got a few reference photos. I have a vague idea what it is in my head and these small little sketches and things like that. Yeah, I'm good. Let's go straight into it. That doesn't work. That's not good. And I think I've realized that in by mistake, through my errors, through my failure of what I feel like was my original ideas and my original game, is that it didn't lead to the best end goal and the best end product. Without building on something first, I was trying to just create something straight from my mind. And that I don't think was working so well. I mean, I tried to do some concepting. This little sketch right here is my first playership concept, and I kind of evolved it into this and little things like that. And I don't like what I ended up with, what I was starting to texture, what I was starting to work on. You guys will see that in the videos leading up to this for the DieselPunk project. Is I don't think that was kind of like my best work. I think I was trying to throw something together and I didn't have anything to work on. I didn't have the bones. I didn't have my foundation. You can't build a house on a bad foundation, and I can't build a game on a bad foundation and a bad concept idea and bad conceptualization of my end goals. And so this is what I started doing in the past couple weeks between the making the videos for Plague's Tale Innocence, coming back into the swing of things, reading books about concept artists, and just being more involved in my artwork and more involved in what I'm wanting to do. And I feel like it's created a much healthier lifestyle for me. I think I feel better about myself. I'm not as so down on myself about my concepts. I'm not so down on myself on what I'm doing. I'm more like, no, I know this is good. I've looked into it. I've read up on it. I've done some research. I've actually seen what I can do with it. And it's creating something a lot better and something that I'm more proud of. And I think that's the importance for concept artwork and for being good at conceptualizing your own idea. Is if you don't have the idea there, you don't have your foundations, you don't have those thoughts there on paper and have run through and made the mistakes on paper first, then it's going to be so much easier for you to then turn that into a 3D model or into anything. And this is true for like a lot of things in life. And that's something that I think I wasn't doing correctly when I was just trying to hit all these episodes one right after the other and really speed it up. I needed to slow it down and actually work on the concepts. And these concepts I love so much more. You can see right here, this was my original idea for the player concept. These kind of like bulkier engine style ships. Then they weren't really working for me. I kind of was liking this idea a little bit just because it looked real meaty and bulky and aggressive. But as I started looking into the DieselPunk style and into what was really a DieselPunk game or what would be a DieselPunk game, and I even checked with other games that I saw that were out. There's the game Frostpunk, Iron Harvest, even some of the Warhammer 40k stuff for the Astra Mechanicum and Astra Militarium and those armies and all these things. I started looking into them more and was like, no, this is not DieselPunk. This is something completely different, and this isn't actually creating what I want it to be. And so then I ended up creating this. I went from this kind of shape, these two shapes that I was kind of liking, and I created this shape for the ship. and it feels more like a DieselPunk aircraft. And DieselPunk is all about the time around World War One and Two when we were really heavily in diesel fuel and energy and all that stuff, that we ended up using that as our main source for everything. We didn't change, we didn't create the Tesla cars that we have now. We didn't do anything different because as a whole humanity thought that was the pinnacle moment, and the best thing for humanity was diesel, and nothing else was good enough for us. And so I needed to make sure that I kept with that idea. I kept with that ship design. I kept with the industrial revolution. I didn't stray from the industrial revolution. And that's the big thing, is it's all about the industrial revolution in America and the rest of the world. And I say America because it's the only form of reference I have since I live in the US. Yay. So that's what DieselPunk needs to be, and that's the art that I need to create. Then that's the style I need to make everything in. So I looked into old fighter jets and the propeller system, the guns, the cockpit, wing styles, everything. And then I just thought, I'll improve. I'll add some flair with the exhaust ports, and that'll be the thing that I make different. That'll be the flavor that I add into this, and add that since DieselPunk and diesel energy is so important and the main source of everything, I'll emphasize that they had to create more exhaust ports and actually shoot out all the fumes and smoke and gas. Fumes. Yeah, just fumes and smoke. There's only fumes and smoke, water, any of the byproducts from the engine out through the exhaust system, and they needed to create better systems for it that were actually on the ship, and better pipes and all sorts of stuff. And so this I actually really love. It feels more like it's a diesel punk genre style game. And the fighter jets, I just like how the idea has evolved. Even for the enemy fighter ship, I still kind of kept that fishtail design, that fish look, and I just emphasized some of it and made it look a little bit more meaner. And I kind of thought this could be like a Barracuda style aircraft, and it has the singular exhaust port, and it has the hidden barrel of the machine gun here with the bullets flying out in this area. And then we went on and I looked at bomber ships, and I thought, wow, bomber ships need to look way more aggressive, way larger, but I want it to feel kind of like a single pilot space aircraft, but I want it to still have that aggressive feel. So I added in the turbine here and just enlarged the style of this, and actually this was the old bomber. Very Chungus, very fat. And now this is much leaner and more aggressive though, and still has that fish style to it that I wanted to keep with. I don't know. It was just something that was different from this guy. And it seemed like a lot of the ships followed the idea of fish moving through water, except in the air. That's kind of how I see planes being designed, is they kind of looked at how fish swim in currents. Since there are currents of wind in the air, they had to figure out how to make those ships fly through those wind currents, so they made them look more fish-like in shape. And even in this bomber, when I start to model it, the end tail here might actually be too fat, and I might flatten it out a bit more. But overall, like this main column here, this main cylinder to the entire vessel, I really like, and it makes sense for the style of ships that they had around the 1930s through the 80s. No, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah, 80s. My memory shoot is close enough, I believe. And I even added on a better drone style. I made it look more like a little RC plane with a block of C4 strapped onto it that's blinking. And this is the RC antenna that's blinking so that it can fly in and explode into the aircraft. The blasters for the mountain zone that I wanted that are just shooting up energy straight up into the sky, I changed it to be Tesla because that just seemed to work in my mind to kind of add in that added bit of flair of my own style to it. Is I really like steampunk, and steampunk does the whole steam energy and Tesla coils and electricity in that regard. So I thought, why not carry that over into DieselPunk? That they still were finding the Tesla coils to be the main source of creating electricity, and they still followed all of Nikola Tesla's ideas and philosophies for electricity. So I created a Tesla blaster location where now it's going to shoot these giant lightning bolts into the sky, and it has all these batteries packs here or generators that then slowly power up these coils that shoot it off. And that just seemed much more intuitive and more along the style that I was shooting for. And this is what I needed the entire time, was to nail my style. Even the tank, I changed it and went to a more run-of-the-mill army style tank that would be around this time, that just has a bigger exhaust vent coming out of it. And I like this style way more. This seems more diesel, more punk, and just makes me feel better. And this is exactly why I feel like concept artwork is an important step in video game design, and I feel ashamed that I didn't focus on it enough. But now that I have been focusing on it more and been giving myself the ability to focus on my concept artwork and focus on my ideas, I am becoming more excited by my end results and what I'm going to be creating. I've even started to work on this ship design in Blender, and I've been loving it so much more. I've been loving that shape a lot more than what I've had before, and I feel like I'm taking better care and better time with my artwork. And after I designed all these ship designs and ship models and concepts for all of them, I went on and then also went into and designing the levels and more things about the symbols for the enemies. And I like this stuff way more. So let's kind of zoom in really big on this area, because environment artwork is one of the things that I love the most in games. And again, not making the time to do my concepts, to do my conceptualizations of ideas and iterating all those ideas through, I was just not creating the best work. And now I went and thought of what's going to make a really good looking battlefield, and what's going to make this battlefield look more DieselPunk and not just like, oh, I just kind of created a battlefield. Because that's what I felt like I did. I just created this battlefield that just had the trenches and mortar pits, but nothing unique to it, nothing to create that DieselPunk energy. And that's where I found these. Actually, my sister then shot me an image of these sea forts out in the UK, and they're just these big rectangular boxes that are just rusting in, I believe, the English Channel, somewhere around there. I don't know exactly where, but there's just these sea forts that are just sitting out there, and they're just these giant boxes that they were using to defend themselves or be a first contact zone for calling in any enemy vessels. Or they even, I think there's a little bit of like a conspiracy theory about what was going on these sea forts, like there were prisons and all sorts of stuff that they were talking about. But I ended up using that idea to create these stationary giant bunkers that would be seen across either side of the battlefield, and even ones that could look like they're mobile. I was wondering like, whoa, I could make these be mobile, like giant fortress walkers. That would be really cool. I don't know if I'll actually do that, just so I don't have to like animate too much on the ground and then like distract the player. I might just leave those as big stationary fortress gunnery stations, and that's just gonna be much more eye catching, a lot more diesel and more punkish, and it really give off the energy and that vibe that I really wanted. And then I even went into looking into axes and ally symbols and stuff that really felt like the enemy or the allies. And even when I was doing the ally symbols, I was messing around with Russia's symbol for World War II, the swastika I was almost looking into, but then I was like, no, that's a little too touchy, a little too hot heavy. So I went back and kept kind of looking at the idea for the Russia symbols for weapons that they were having, the shield. And then with that, I created the shield logo that could then be used for showing ranks and branches and stuff like that. And I was like, that looks too like protect and serve. Like a badge and a shield is very much going to give off that idea of we're here to protect you, we're here to serve you, we are your guardians. And I was like, that feels like the ally symbol. So I erased it out. This is the good guy symbol down here. But when I was creating what I originally thought would be the allied symbol, this Star Trek star with the diamond piece and the eye in the middle, I was like, that looks more threatening because it's kind of like the Illuminati symbol. And whenever you kind of get that Illuminati symbol or that look, it's always more mysterious and more threatening or more unsettling. And I was like, no, that's got to be the enemy symbol. That's what it is. This is the enemy symbol. This is the ally symbol. And it's a weird way that I went through and thought of the idea. But again, that's why concepts are great to have, and doing the ideation and conceptualization processes helps to create great end results, because I was able to make my mistakes and create something that I was proud of. And then I even went on over here and came up with some more ideas for the military base, the next level in the game, and what that should look like. And actually went through and thought, oh, we should create these actually little wooden huts, the towers, the lights, the siren alarm areas. I said no to tanks, just no tents. Tents are bad. I didn't want to do tents. I wanted to do these wooden outhouses or these wooden bunkers or bunk bedrooms and all these things, and maybe even still have these hangar bays. The hangar bays I thought still needed to be there, so I'm still going to create hangar bays and these turret encampments, and that should look like a really good military base that I can then use some of the things from over here. I can still add these turret encampments, these fortresses, all of this stuff to still create this military base and this military vibe that I really want. And then we even went down here. I thought up what the mountains were going to look like, what the range. It was going to be rainy and stormy with lightning bolts, because a lot of the times when you see the mountain ranges, especially here where I live real close to mountain ranges, I can see the rain and the storm over there all the time. And I was like, ooh, that would be so amazing to create the game where he's flying through the storms and the lightning bolts are shooting all over the place. And this isn't actually supposed to be like dangerous. These are supposed to be no-fly zones, but in order to get to the capital, to get to an area where they can actually get a craft into the enemy lines, they had to take a dangerous route through the mountains, through the power stations, through the actual location where the capital gets all its energy. And through that, they thought, well, two birds with one stone. We get enemy ships, we get our ships behind enemy lines, as well as we destroy part of the power that supplies the city, the capital of our enemy. And so then I was able to come up with the ideas for the capital, the modular city. Modular meaning I'm going to create multiple pieces that will build the entire city. There'll be 4 rooftop designs, 3 antenna designs, 2 pipe designs, the chimney designs, railroad tracks, stairwells, windows, walls, and 1 unique building, which is going to be the Capitol building, the end of the game. And I went through and I thought of what do some chimneys look like. I looked outside at the roofs of my apartment building. I looked at images of city landscapes and what they look like, of rooftops. Found some bad rooftop designs and went through those. I was like, Went and found train tracks and what the subway system should look like, stairwells, side stairs, all of these things, and even thought up of a capital rough building design. I want the columns. I want these frills up at the top, the flag right there, and this layering system to make the Capitol building look like it's a fortress Capitol building. And a lot of people have Capitol buildings that look more fortress style and look more aggressive or more blocked out. And especially if we're going off with the idea of DieselPunk, they would have access to a lot of concrete. They would be using a lot of concrete in their construction of buildings. So concrete is hard to like mold into other shapes that aren't very flat and polygonal. So this works out that I use a concrete style just layering and towering system, and that creates a very aggressive building design. Concrete cities in a concrete jungle of diesel energy. And all of this is just creating something that is so better than what I originally had. And it's because, again, I conceptualized the ideas. I went through and I ran through the mistakes of designs and created something that I'm actually proud of, that I like. And it's becoming a lot better. So I think I ran through everything in my mind that I wanted to talk about for this video, and for the importance in the design and concepts and actually coming up with things before just rushing into it headlong. And this has created something that I'm proud of, something that I'm going to be excited to sell on the game stores that I'm putting it out on. And I feel like this is going to be something that I think players will enjoy more. Players will find more eye-catching. I'm hoping to catch the eye of players more with this concept and with these ideas now. And I'm happy. I'm happy with it, and I hope a lot of you are excited for what this now looks like and what I have now got in the works now for this game. So these videos are going to be more like this. They're going to be milestones. They're going to be showing off all the completed work and talking about my excitement for that work or something that I learned while doing it, so that these can be learning videos for other game artists, other designers, or people who want to know important things about game design or want to learn about game design but don't necessarily want to be a game artist. They just find it entertaining and exciting and stuff. So these are your videos for this. This is your channel for finding this information. And I'm liking this way more. I'm liking a lot of this. I just love it. I love doing game design, and I love game art and just everything to do with it. Video games just have helped me out so much, and yeah, I can't think too much because I'm excited to do this now. So next couple weeks again will be, I think we'll do 2-week intervals, maybe longer, depending on how long it takes for me to get like ship designs done. I think the next milestone that I'll discuss are the completed ship models. So I'm hoping to be done within 2 weeks time with ship models, but if not, I'll go the extra mile with it. I'll go longer with it and make sure that milestone is actually fully polished and ready to go before I show it off to you guys. So shooting for 2 weeks could be longer, no matter what. Definitely there is going to be more videos of Plague's Tale coming up next week and the following weeks after that, as I continue working on the ship models for the DieselPunk project. As well, I am still working on the balance project. It's just, again, like I said, I'm waiting on Milestone. So maybe there'll be a Milestone video for the balance project in the next couple of weeks. We shall see. The concept artwork for that game is going to be a lot more in depth, and it's going to be a lot more pages of my sketchbook. It's going to be a lot more studying of certain things, of female anatomy for my main character, of fauna and fauna and floral, not floral. I don't know, plants and animals. I'm going to be studying a lot more of that stuff and actually looking into that a lot more heavily. Maybe even buying a concept book about people who are doing stuff in that similar style that I'm shooting for. So we'll see. There's a lot coming. There is still a lot going on behind the scenes that I'm working on getting polished and ready for a milestone update video. So please stick around, stay tuned, comment, like, follow, subscribe. I have multiple formats for you guys to find me. So stay with me. It's a long road ahead. Games aren't easy to make. Games take a while. Even the smallest of game design projects take a good year to come out, or less. I'm hoping less on the DieselPunk project. I'm hoping this guy's done a lot faster. So I'm excited. I don't know if I've said that enough. I don't know if I've showed my excitement enough. I know I word vomit a lot, and I came up with some bad grammar with much more. I'm starting to realize, thinking back. So yeah. Stick around. Bye.